All right, everybody. Guess what time it is? We are about to get into some serious stuff today because today is, as you can see across the bottom of the board, the 50th anniversary weekend. Monday will be the actual date, March 8th, 1971. I was nothing but a twinkle in my mother's eye at that time. But today, we are going to bring you something magnificent, as you can see to the bottom left of my screen. Two of the greatest to ever have done it today on the Fight Show. And there are a couple of guests that we will have that will get to weigh in about this fight and what it meant to them. Hopefully you will appreciate the lesson in boxing that you're about to get, because we are going to do a absolute out of this world film study with the greatest fight in the 20th century, with none other than Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time, and Smokin Joe Frazier. But with no further ado, it's time to box on the Fight Show live. So, for all of you who are chiming in, make sure that you let us know where you're from. It's Friday afternoon. We usually get it popping on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but it's just a beautiful time in this era, and there are no rules in 2021. You must live every single day as if you have plenty more to go and you want them all hot. And what we're going to do in the first segment is we are going to break down this fight. Yes, that will mean having some amazing insight to the first couple of rounds, breaking down a little bit of the things. I would say, let me rewind that because I really wanted to be clear how we're going to get it popping. But make sure you let me know where you at. We are definitely trying to lock in and stay chimed in. But with no further ado, our objective today is to give insight and show you the history of boxing as it was seen by us in the 70s, and that era, how it transcended from the 60s with all of the Watts riots and the big major fights and the triumphs from Ali, Cassius Clay, excuse me, when he beat Sonny Liston twice, the assassination of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. It was just landing on the moon in 69, year I was born. All of these things just kind of push that energy from Woodstock into the 70s. And these guys were in a place that just some of the biggest figures like Frank Sinatra and all of the guys who are the mainstream godfathers now were nothing but bystanders at an event. And the magnitude of this event was crazy. So I see y'all chime. Make sure you let us know where you are, because I'm going to definitely check out my comments. What's going on, peeps? My guys Flim and them in the building. What's up, champ? Shouts out TSOB. And this is just a ceremonious day in the school of boxing and in the world of boxing. And I cannot wait to chop it up with you on this tip right here. So let us take just a second, and what we're going to do, which is so long overdue, is let you walk a lane and taste what it feels like to get it down with the fight doctor himself, aka Mr. Eric Bradley. What's going on, Ricky Moore? Maryland is in his house. Good to see you, brother. So first, I need to get my stuff off the screen so we can actually take this thing and show you. And what we're going to do is give a few tips and pointers as we watch this fight and this matchup. I don't want you to run away from your idealizations of what you're seeing. But what I'm going to do for you is really give clear insight to the style that Smokin Joe Frazier brought this night, all of the different variations that he had within his style. And I'm going to also give you insight to who was playing a role in these events back in these days. So I'll give you an insight to the people, because we're familiar with the guys that are now, but you must understand who those guys were back then that were playing the key roles in boxing. Because if you understand where it was, then you can understand where it's going. And here on the Fight Show, that's what our objective is to make sure that you understand what's going on today in boxing, so you can appreciate where we gone. I would like to take a second to give Brandon the Cannon Adams, congratulations. One of the buddies of Master Boxing, fraternity for life, is now the WBO middleweight, or middleweight champion of the world. 8-round KO last night on NBCSN Sports Network. Beautiful performance to close the show. Opened up really good. So special shouts out to Brandon. I was going back and forth with him today and last night prior to the fight. The day of the weigh-in, he was ready to go. And it looks like when you stay the course, because just a year and a half ago, he was in the ring with Charlo and didn't get the victory. Continue to stay the course, back and forth, continuing to digest those skills on that Master Boxing page, and back and forth in conversation. And now, if you look at this, it's all about your circle. So congratulations, Brandon. It couldn't have been a better time to do this. And we salute you, overcoming a very, very aggressive offensive fighter who was undefeated, 18-0 with 18 knockouts, knocking him out in the 8th round on television, prime time, getting it popping. That is what we love about the sport of boxing. Now, a couple of things as we move on. I'm going to introduce the guys that played a role. You will hear voices from none other than George Benton, who was in the corner of Joe Frazier. And you will also see Angelo Dundee, another mogul in the sport, iconic figure, trainer of Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, and plus many others. But the two bigger names that he brought to that championship, walking that aisle, overcoming the things. It was just beautiful to see Angelo Dundee. His magnificent corner ethics were just second to none. And it was just a beautiful thing, a beautiful time. On the night, on the mic, calling the fight was none other than the old mongoose, and Archie, the old mongoose Moore. Beautiful. So what we're going to do right now is give you the first couple of rounds as we go into this fight and show you. We will be giving you insight and breaking it down. So let's see it. Rounds 1 through 3.
At Madison
Muhammad
Square
Ali
Garden.
versus Joe
Muhammad
Frazier.
Ali in the red trunks, Joe Frazier.
This was
In the
fire.
green trunks, they appear very light. Frazier will try to pour in and catch his man. Muhammad Ali opening
Beautiful
up fast.
combinations.
He may try
And
to
as you
flick
can
them here in
see,
round
Muhammad
one.
Ali was
And
always
he's
so
trying
thorough
it.
with that jab, leading everything, feeling good. Forward skips, as you
Muhammad
see.
Ali may
The
try a
guys
blitz.
in the
He got
school
in
of
that
boxing
good
know
left
about
hook.
that, because we break these drills down. Look at the range.
Frazier is not the easy
Now, one of
target
the
he used
things
to
you're
be.
going to
He's
see
bobbing and weaving
Joe
all the
Frazier
time.
really,
And
really
he's dangerous.
constantly
His best
working
punch, the left hook.
is
Muhammad
that
Ali's
cross
best
blocking.
punch, the jab. And his good
He has to get the time, and that method was a
First
derivative
punch of the fight.
of the first version of the peekaboo started by Archie Moore, which was called the
That
turtle
was a hard
shell.
left hook that
And
caught
when you
Frazier.
saw the turtle shell, you knew that you had to bring different type
Frazier is
punches.
more
You had
vulnerable
to
in the
have different
first round, and
variables
Muhammad Ali knows
because
that.
you were planning on blocking everything that came straight to you. Even good for uppercuts when
Muhammad Ali shakes his
played
head
right.
and is warned for holding behind the neck.
That range, control the distance.
Muhammad Ali has been missing, but that jab didn't miss. Muhammad Ali shakes his head as though to say it was nothing, but he was tagged. A whipping left hook to the body that must have hurt by Frazier. Now Muhammad Ali is finding the mark with those jabs. And he gets caught on the rope, which he should not.
All right. As you can see, Muhammad Ali, he always used to use that stiff arm, and that stiff arm gave him the range, and it also prevented Joe from closing the gap when he was trying to get his offense off. So it throws your timing off. And that's a big thing in boxing. A lot of people see these type tactics and don't quite understand it. What's up, people? What's up from the 559? Good. It's good to see you, brothers. I did. Stay. I did.
Frazier just fights one way. He bores in and he punishes. 15 seconds to go in the round.
There you go.
It's been a fairly close round. Frazier getting closer to the
Now, the thing about this beautiful rendition of boxing that you're seeing from Joe Frazier is this was, like I was saying, a derivative of the first version of the peekaboo. Now, he utilized a lot of parries, a lot of cross arm blocks, hard slip, and hard dips. And what that did was allowed him to set his hard, very, very violent punches off. So I kind of I kind of set some note cards for you to see. Smokin Joe Frazier style. And you see the Yancey Durhams, who was his manager. His teachers, like I said before, was George Benton. Let's see what happens in this next round. But these guys were the real deal, and so was Smokin Joe. Another thing that you'll have to pay attention to is I said that Archie Moore was calling the fight. Archie Moore created the turtle style, which was referred to in that day and time as turtle shell defense, and really was the birth of the peekaboo style. As you can see, Joe Frazier is hard dips, violent slips behind the cross arm bar blocks, which are the turtle shells. So he was fusing styles back then. Now pay attention to his bob, because he was the master of the bob, but his bob wasn't to just make you miss. His bob was to throw hard shots. He wanted to stay in your chest, and Ali knew that. So Ali would smother him. Of course, it's obvious when you're looking, but it takes a lot to do it. As you can see, Ali was very fresh in the first round. But as you moved into the second round, that pressure that Joe brings, that relentless style that was not classified under the peekaboo style, but it was classified under his offensive prowess. And he had a much, much more difficult defense than people thought and gave him credit for, because he was always on the offense and never going backwards. But look at that bob, look at that hard dip. And every time he made that hard dip, he came up with that violent hook. This was good stuff. Ali was sitting down on the punches. You don't have to throw the shots hard. As we go over in the school of boxing, you have to make sure that you do not lose your base, which is the bent knees, and also sitting down in your stance after that fact. Watch him set that pace, hooking off that jab, which is a very smart thing. Ali didn't throw body shots because that would have been a beautiful time to throw the body shots. Joe doesn't lose energy. That's why he was smoking Joe, because fighters never really went to his body. But boy, look at how he's sitting down on those shots. Just violent. Just absolutely violent. And I chose this particular video because it gave you an old time feel. A lot of green on the screen. I love this. This is what I came up in. You see that jab? Now that is a jab. Now who you see talking now, that's Archie Moore, the old mongoose. And what Archie Moore is thinking right now is, if you go back to George Foreman versus Joe Frazier, what you witnessed at that fight was the same similar styles, except the inventor of the style was Archie Moore, who was in George Foreman's corner, and George Foreman was larger, a little bit heavier than Ali, same size. Difference was Joe Frazier's style wasn't a style that was perfected. No one had really become a master at it. George Benton had a very, very smooth but violent style, much lighter weight class. But when you put those two styles together with more lineage behind one, which is having Archie Moore in your corner, he was able to totally bamboozle Joe Frazier, because his cross arm block came from decades before that. And that's what one of the key reasons I say the lineage in which you're taught under matters. And if the tables were turned, if Archie was in Joe Frazier's corner, it would have been a totally different fight, because it matters in situations like that when you have two very violent men. George Foreman had a great defense for a style like Joe because he was a similar style. He threw hard, heavy hooks. Watch Joe Frazier throw these hooks. He's digging down. I mean, he's trying to pull something from Ali's guts. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that Frazier can stand up under that battering.
Mm-hmm.
And he is scoring himself.
As I asked the guys in the School of Boxing today, I wanted to find out who did I had our admin put that in the group, who has a similar style to Muhammad Ali today. I'll put that in the comments. I want to see, because there's one fighter that I can tell you that will give you cause to pause.
It's a question. How many of those punches Frazier can take? These are big rounds for the ex-champion.
Good stuff.
Now Frazier is scoring. He said he would go to the body.
Good stuff. See, he put that head in his chest, and what that does is prevent Ali from leaning. When you tuck the head between the jaw and the shoulder, that when the guy was leaning on you, taking your energy like that, see, Joe couldn't get his head in position there. So Ali's able to press down on his neck, cut his oxygen off. That plays a factor. That's like a body shot. Doesn't hurt, but it does break you down oxygen level wise. It's a very, very slick tactic. in Ali's craft, which it takes many, 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 many years to uh, kind of mutate your craft. And that was round three. And what we're going to do now, that was just a taste. We're getting ready to get back going. But as we move into this, what I wanted to do is share with you some of the insight and some of the feedback from people. And I want to know what you think about the Muhammad Ali Joe Frazier trilogy. The first fight, the first time you saw this fight, what exactly went through your mind? What was going on? How did it impact you? Drop it down in the comment box. Let's get it popping. I want to put on the screen right now one of the greatest commentators to ever do it. He was mainstream, he was prime time, and special shouts out to the WBC for providing this right here. And I'm telling you, this guy brought the energy to boxing. Let's hear it from.
So there's no governing law. One of the many unique elements that sets boxing apart is the absence of a fixed schedule. So there's no governing logic by which the sport's most memorable date is March 8, 1971, an accident of fate, dictated by the availability on that date of the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. By far the most logical setting for the most fiercely and widely anticipated event in the history of boxing, Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, for the heavyweight championship that Ali had lost to politics and that Frazier had won fairly and squarely in his absence. At that moment, I was a 21-year-old senior at the University of North Carolina. I had attended only one live prize fight in my life, that being February 25, 1964 in Miami Beach, the night my most beloved personal idol ever, Cassius Marcellus Clay, had knocked out Sonny Liston to win the heavyweight crown. Now, more than 7 years later, I had gotten through the challenging psychological process of accepting his identity change, and I was again all in for the world's most famous man. The telecast was distributed via closed circuit, and as a college undergraduate, there was no way I could afford the price. So I sat in a low-rent apartment and listened on radio. And when the decision was read, I didn't want to believe it. The following weekend, I watched the replay telecast on ABC, hoping to confirm my impression, my wish, as it were, that Ali had been robbed, that, in effect, the decision was stolen from him. But the evidence just wasn't there. So, at the end of the day, I learned some of the most valuable lessons I carried through the ensuing 50 years as a boxing fan. That judges are always open to question, but most often they get it right. That in boxing, much more than in other sports, you can lose, but still be the winner. That fan allegiance is more emotional than rational. And just because you beat the man, it doesn't mean you have become the man. In life and in sports, you are well advised never to say never. But 50 years later, I am tempted to say we may never again see a sports event that combines as many salient undercurrents and storylines, both human and competitive, as Ali Frazier won, March 8, 1971. 17 years later, after the big night, Ali gave me 3 hours of personal time to run errands in Manhattan by occupying my then 8-year-old daughter with jokes and magic tricks, something no one in the world could have done better. The photograph that commemorates that occasion sits perpetually on the desk where I work, a constant reminder that even our most exalted heroes are in every way real people, as both Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali most certainly were.
Crazy. I can't wrap my head around. One thing I liked about Jim Lampley is he was the most sincere, passionate fan. I've never seen a man on the mic be as vulnerable as Jim Lampley. He always spoke his truths, and he always spoke from his heart, and he would not hold back the tears. He would always allow himself to be a real man by letting his feelings show when he spoke about the sport of boxing. And for that, I respect him. and everything that he did for the sport. Hopefully, he will start being visible again because he brought the energy to the fight game. Now, I'm going to answer a couple of questions because I seen several people drop some questions. I like this. Charles the Professor Wilton. Hey, brothers, welcome to the Fight Show. What's the most important part? Punch, power, or speed? Or power with speed? I have an issue with it. I use one or the other. Well, to break it down to you, you can be super fast. Pacquiao was super fast, but there was only 2 rounds where he was significantly effective landing punches on Floyd because it's all about you can be fast and you can be strong, but if you don't land a punch, that's why Muhammad Ali always said, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." Your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see. So defense first, timing supersedes everything. So just have great posture when you box. Make sure that you do follow the basic rules, the fundamental and the foundation building techniques that allow you to become one level. Take guys like Bernard Hopkins used to do, take guys who were faster and stronger and just totally dismantle them with great defense, footwork, and timing. And that's your answer. It'll never be an attribute. People who do that speak about, you hear me speak about attribute fighters, guys with speed and guys with power, which are going to be the guys that get knocked out. And because they depend on their attributes, that only works in the street. When you're in the ring, it's a sport. If it was based upon speed and power, the Atlanta Falcons wouldn't have blown a 25-point lead against the New England Patriots, who were slow and old, 3-4 years ago in a Super Bowl and choke up the ball. And this is all about people thinking athletics win based upon throwing in the towel, but that's not the case. So that was a great question, man. Continued luck. Follow us in the School of Boxing. And timing and accuracy are more important than speed and power every time. Very good follow up, Remy. Beautiful. That does matter more than anything. So, for you young athletes and you trainers who are out there who are in your first tenure in teaching and coaching, remember this all the time. Remy has it on the screen. I just said it out my mouth. Timing is everything. Thanks again for dropping that out there. I'm going to see some more. I know so many while that came on. Frazier style is almost like the Mexican style. The way he's moving and walking him down, he definitely has a serious style and is fused. That worked for him. He was heavy in the legs. Amelia, welcome, Amelia. It's good to see you. Heavy in the legs. He trained in Philadelphia with all of these greats, and the Matthew Saad Muhammad is where my uncle and those guys, Grandma, they ran the streets in Philadelphia in a major kind of way. And what you would see with those type fighters, and we're going to go into the round 8 through 12 next. So, 8 through 11. So don't get your popcorn ready while I finish this last couple of questions. But when you see these type individuals with the heavy legs and the offensive prowess mentality, they've had to overcome a lot of good boxers in the gym. And Philadelphia adopted the reputation of being a very, very hardcore fighting gym, and they were. And you get bringing in all these good sparring partners, and you don't want to lose ground in your own hometown and in your own gym. So you take privilege and learn how to become a master at your offense. And that cross block defense that he had, where he broke and parried, slip, caught, catch, dip, slip, and worked. That's masterful. You'll never ever see a guy put that together again. And that style system, it was just insane. And let me see, I know there was another one, Coach Fleming. I believe there's an interview between Muhammad Ali and Cus Amato pre-fight where Cus talked about the coming fight from Frazier's point of view, and he did, and that is a great interview. I will post it into the school for you guys to see. Once again, it's a very enlightening. Customato told him what was going to happen, and when you see that video, make sure if you guys have not looked up the Master Boxing Skills Group, go over there. I'll be playing it there too. That video will go up. It's going to just be a beautiful thing, man. We're going to have some fun this weekend here, and Monday on the day will be a beautiful documentary we will air here on the Fight Show once again. So let's go into rounds 8 through 11. I think that was, yeah, we're going to go in through rounds 8 through 11, and then I'm going to let you hear from another big figure out here in the sport world right now again. So let's get it popping. I think that's the one. Oh, remove this one.
The crowd is chanting Ali, and Joe says, come on out and fight. The bell hasn't sounded. There it is, round 8.
Round 8.
You see how Joe's bending those knees now? He's just really, he's put some damage on Ali. And Ali's really taking some punishment to the body and the jaw. And his jaw was broken in this fight.
Joe Frazier just literally took charge there. Now Muhammad Ali is piling up points with those jabs. Don't forget that. Joe looks like he's in a training session. Frazier's just pouring everything in there now. They're short punches, but punishing punches. Ali is making very little return here, and the crowd is getting on him.
There he goes. And the man that you see in the ring is Arthur McCanty Sr. His son is actually active today and a very special referee. And it takes all of these unique and special people to play the role in the sport. And back then, man, you just had some quality guys, man.
Gets the sheer joy of combat the way Joe Frazier does. Some are landing on elbows, but some are getting in. Here it comes, look out. There it is. Half a minute to go.
Special shout out to Swanee from the Fight Show team and Master Boxing across the board. Screenshot that, brother. The Fight Show and Ali Frazier, you know he's showing love to you. Beautiful work. There you go, brother.
Joe Frazier's corner, Yancey Durham setting him up for the next round.
As you see Arthur McCanty and those guys, Yancey Durham, the managers were very involved back in the 70s with their fighters. Very hands-on, very up close and personal.
You must remember this in the scoring. Muhammad Ali has been making most of the clinches, and that will count against him.
Because back then, clinching was not looked at great, just like now. But if you got a Smokin Joe Frazier guy in front of your face, pressing you, look at the cross block. You see how he put those arms and fold them together? See? From these type movements formed the Philly shell style, which later was just mastered decade after decade, and then it ended up like what Floyd made it and turned it into, and Bernard Hopkins and James Lights Out Tony. The rolling shoulder was the offense that came with it. Beautiful, beautiful rendition of boxing when you can put it all together that way. The Philly shell, the rolling shoulder, the peekaboo, all of these things, the turtle shell. Classic boxing like Muhammad Ali was, and then just the offensive monster like Joe Frazier was, man. This is boxing at its highest level.
Relax and rest on the inside. All right, folks, step back.
Yeah, it is a tough fight, though. It's a tough fight to watch because you can see the violence, the level of violence from two really, really hard-hitting men.
And takes punches in return. Come on, man. Frazier trying to get that guard down. Ali covering up on the ropes. That was a wicked punch. So was that.
You see just the constant relentlessness. Every shot was hard by Joe. Every single shot. He never ever took the heat off that punch. And that's where the defense came into play, how he used his defense. He broke, caught, catch, slip, dipped hard, and came off with power hooks. I mean, he was taking skin off with punches. He was trying to rip cells out of your body. Look at that. That was a classic picture. Ali. It was just amazing how tremendous Ali's conditioning was, taking those body shots. And if you haven't been hit to the body, trust me, it takes a lot out of your legs, your willpower, and all of that stuff.
Round 10 is scheduled for 15. Now let's see how that punishment affected Joe Frazier. He's probably been told to stay in close now to nullify that long-range hitting of Muhammad Ali.
Tyson Fury definitely has taken a whole lot of pages and wrinkles from Ali, and you know it's not a bad guy to take a page from because they think alike, they operate alike. A lot of people would like to have that skill set, but you know it just doesn't happen that way. Unfortunately, Tyson Fury has the mechanics and the mind, high IQ, very limber, very quick, and knows how to shorten those short, quick, pop, get out, be elusive. But if you watch Arthur, you got to watch the mastery of the referees back then. Arthur McCanning. Continue to drop your comments and let us know where you're from. For those who are just coming in, I see the numbers going up and down all over the place. Make sure you let us know where you're from. Welcome to the Fight Show. Right now, these two men are going closer to where you would go to when you're going to the intensive care unit. Physically, these guys have beaten each other. Hooking off the jab. And believe it or not, Muhammad Ali had changed his boxing style at this time. He wasn't floating like a butterfly like he was in the 60s because of that layoff. And when he got back after 3 years off, he decided to plant his feet. He felt like he could beat Joe Frazier playing his game, and that was a bad idea. Sugar Ray Leonard did it going up against Duran the first time. And he can tell you till this day that was a bad choice. You see, Frazier's bob was not a very good way to teach a young fighter, because he tipped forward. And when you bob down, we teach our guys, make sure your chin is up and tucked and you just roll under. But Joe used to roll because Joe was coming up with that heat, wasn't scared to take an uppercut, but hence is why the cross arm blocks help prevent uppercuts from down here, hooks from right here, straights from right here. Clap them together when the straights come, stop the uppercuts, catch the hooks, and then bomb, tilting forward. Now you don't teach amateurs to do that. It's not a good tactic to teach. But Joe Frazier had a system with that style that he was preventing uppercuts and he was catching hooks, and he was all over his boxing game. And there's very few people could operate and do it like Joe Frazier did it.
Muhammad Ali slipped down that time.
This is what Joe Frazier's intentions were. When you read it on the screen, make sure you let me know what you also see with the way that Joe Frazier, what his outcome, what he's trying to make his outcome. Because you can see he's punching on the arms like Canelo, elbows, forearms, liver shots, hooks to the jaw. That breaks a man down, especially if you look at the protrusion on the midpoint of Joe Frazier's back. That's where the power comes from. Yep, and he knew how to slide and walk with him. Let me bring my guy in. What's up, champ?
What's up, guys?
It's beautiful, man. We breaking this thing down. This was a beautiful. I saw your text and I you was current. Welcome. Boy, this was a beautiful fight. Joe is just relentless. I love the way he used what people don't understand about things like craft. The craft, like touching them just to open them up and then find the hot spot. So hitting them with that short joints, and that's what we do in our art of sparring teaching. We teach guys how to boom, and load up, hit them in that shot. But you got to find that sweet spot first. Disrupt them with all those little pitter pats. Let me see what my guys are saying. Yeah, he'd hook to the middle of the body of the arms, break them down. Nice shot. I don't know how to read your name, but great comment. Yeah, Joe Frazier, boy. Now that was real. Woo! That is some fighting.
Yeah.
Where are those fights? Welcome to the show with my man Otis Griffin, the man of the hour. Too sweet to be sour. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much. How you guys doing?
Yeah, man, everything is good, man. We sent a special shout out to Cannon, Brandon for becoming the champ last night. So that was good to see that man come away with the victory. And that kid was pressing him. Pressing him. Yeah, he was. They were not expecting that to happen. Brandon, I got leaving his messages, and I communicated with him. And he got to keep his back off the ropes, but sometimes God show you favor, and to get him out of there like that was impressive, because you got to finish him. And when you got a guy like that, wow, a guy who's undefeated, has not left the ring without a knockout. That is impressive. So once again, Team Master Boxing in the building. Good stuff, man. And you called it. I got to give you credit. Otis called it to the dime. He said exactly what was going to happen. And I wish you would have came on the show and put that on the record, but you did save it, screenshot it. You said exactly what happened. So it was good stuff, man. I'm looking forward to so many great fights this weekend. And we're going to close it out with the 15th round. And what is your first insight about the fight, man, when you first seen this fight? You being someone that worked with Joe Frazier for a time, what was your first impression when you saw this fight? And I want everybody to give me their insight to what happened when they saw this fight. How did it inspire them? It was sort of like Rocky to me to see Joe Frazier fight like he did, even though everyone was a fan of Ali. For the most part, it was divided like Democrats and Republicans and independents. People of ethnicity were pulling for Joe on an average. The average African American was pulling for guys like Ali and Joe. Of course, the city of brotherly love had them held down. And I got my peeps in Philly and New York. So it was East Coast bringing it in, and that was a big night. But Ali was my favorite. He actually had come here years in that tenure where he was not fighting in the late 60s when they had him, excoriated for not taking his pledge into the draft. And Isaiah Murray was his name, a friend of mine. And I trained him and until his last days, rest in heaven. And he sheltered Ali. His family sheltered Ali. So his parents and stuff, they were close like family. So Ali stayed there. So he said every day Ali would go outside, run to the prison, which was 5 miles away. So he said he suited up one day, ran with him. But the thing about it is, it's also 5 miles back. And he called his mom, was like, yo, you got to come get me. So Ali would just do that, man, put on his sweatsuit as if he was still fighting. And even though he was not in that period, that 3-year period, he was still trained. He's like, he worked out, exercised, ran every day. He was maniacal. And that's the kind of person he is, man. So what was your first experience with Ali after seeing that, or impact that he had on you, or the fight?
Well, my first experience with the fight, of course, I didn't watch it live. I was
not born.
But yeah, but watching it coming up, like you said, it was a regional thing. Being a blue collar guy and being originally from the Southeast,
yeah.
Of course, I went with Joe Frazier, and I always was rooting for Joe Frazier in those situations because him being blue collar, being originally from South Carolina before going to Philly, and just going for the underdog, because Ali used to talk so much mess or whatever that you would have thought that he was not the underdog, that he was the guy that, and that being the case looking on. But I always tended to go for the blue collar guys like Joe Frazier and Larry Holmes and things of that nature. One thing that also rubbed me the wrong way with Ali was going back into the archives when and this is the younger version of me. This is Otis Griffin, coming off the farm in Alabama, football guy, all that kind of stuff. But back then I thought it was disrespect. Then I didn't understand the relationship that him and Joe Lewis had, not Joe Frazier, but Joe Lewis. But he said a lot of choice words about Joe Lewis and about him being a yes man to the white people, and about him as far as giving up his own career to go into the military. And I was like, man, why would he say that? Why would he say it? Not understanding the magnitude
the totality.
Of what was going on in the political thing. So that kind of swayed me to go against Ali for the most part. And then after getting older, of course, wrapping everything back full circle, I was like, oh,
yeah.
So, yeah, Joe Frazier was definitely one of a kind guy. I used to watch those fights over and over and over, even
Yeah.
before I got into boxing. But then after having my experience with him on The Next Great Champ, I continuously watch him over and over. And every time I watch these fights, I see something new.
Different.
For instance,
experience.
just like watching it just then, our friend Brandon Adams.
Yeah.
The combination that he dropped
dude was one of those ones, and it was
he won the belt with.
Yeah.
He went to the body with the right hand, back to the head and caught him on the chin with the hook.
Crazy shot. Crazy shot. Just beautiful, beautiful offense. Let's see it. And Charles, I'm gonna come to your statement as soon as we get back. But yes, Ali definitely wasn't in that level of shape to fight against Joe Frazier at that time. But you got to do what you got to do. You got to get the big fights. You got to get the big money. You live a big lifestyle. You're a big figure. So, hey, that's what it is. And he fought a different style. He used to be on his toes. So we're gonna get to that after this last round. I think this is the 15th round. And I think now this ain't the one. Here you go. I think is this. Yeah, this is it. Let's go.
Really massive fighting. I mean,
Hold up. Oh, I had it at the end of the round. All right, people, let's get it popping. I think this is trying to think. Oh yeah, this has got to be it. Jeez, man, I had played all these earlier, and I was looking at them. Let me remove it down and put it back up. Now I'll do it.
There we go.
The thing is stuck. I done played it so much today. I had to get this thing in my. Well, screw it. We can't see it. Oh man. Let me see. I got to see if I can put this thing back up in here. But Otis, I'm going to put it up and let my man speak who was here. But before I get started, man, I like to introduce the show, and I always do. First of all, to all the people out there, we send a special shout out to you first and foremost, making it possible for guys like us who are in the entertainment business to make it and be in front of so many people that are interested in what we do. But my name is Eric A. Bradley, and you are now watching The Fight Show live with my special guest, Damon Feldman, celebrity CEO of Celebrity Boxing, and we all love some boxing over here. I'm just gonna let you know that straight out of the gate.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everybody drops a comment on what their first memory of Ali and Frazier was, the first time they heard of it. And
well, my first memory, let me tell my first. Well, my first memory when I saw the fight,
yeah,
you're just like, wow, because
wow.
this is the final round of the fight, and what a fight it's been.
All right, we got the fight back up. All right, let's see what's popping. This is violence at the highest level. What fighter do you know today that would look like that in the 15th round and just accept it? No way. This dude had all kind of bones broken in his face. He stayed in the hospital 30 days. And Cusimano said this would happen. He'd catch you pulling out because your timing is off, because you haven't been fighting at the elitist of levels for years now, and you're going to eat it. And he did it. He caught him pulling out. Now watch how Joe knows how to use his head. A lot of people don't understand how to utilize their head when it comes down to dipping, positioning, setting up the next offense, limiting their ability to move at all. That freezes a man total spinal cord, head placement. And that's what happens when you got a guy like George Benton in your corner. Man, he was raking. It's crazy how just perfect this guy was that night. Wow. He thought about all that stuff that Ali was talking. but he just knew what to do. He was willing to die.
Both almost died.
Yeah, they did. They almost. That took 5 years off your life.
Frazier is just pot-shotting him now.
Love the abilities when it goes past skill.
1 minute.
And the guys people can really learn.
Flurry by Muhammad Ali. Less than a minute to go. Muhammad Ali gamely fights back.
Yo, if Ali threw body shots, man, he would have had some magnificent knockouts of some other guys.
Ali again makes the
Not
catch.
Joe, but other guys.
Remember, the scoring is on a rounds basis. Frazier is
I was
tired.
telling the guys
And it's
also
on to
that the style
closing.
that Joe Frazier was using was a derivative of what Archie Moore, the crossbar turtle shell. And he added his own things to it. Very great at parrying, very good at slipping, dipping hard, and throwing nothing but heat.
Frazier has the man in the corner.
Extremely, extremely massive puncher.
5 seconds. We'll have an interview with the winner and maybe with the loser. There it is.
There it is. Oh,
Great fight.
they're going to show you that knockout again.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Here
here
comes the
is the
decision.
ball.
Johnny Addy.
Referee Arthur McCanty.
Arthur McCanty.
8-6, 1 even for Frazier.
And I love the fact that the ref was able to score back then. That mattered. He was the closest man to the action. And Frazier wins the fight, needless to say.
Rounds for Frazier, 4 rally, 1 even, 11 and 4.
Wow.
By unanimous decision, and still
His heavyweight title.
Beautiful.
champion of the world, Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier. And that, my friends, is boxing in the 70s. I saw the fight on a big screen playing in an empty store in a shopping center. I was out with my mother shopping as a young boy, and I had never seen a boxing match like this before. It made a big impact for me, and it helped spur my interest for combat sports at large. You could believe watching that on the screen. You're like, what is going on over there? These dudes are about to getting the smoke. I met Joe Frazier. What's up, Charles? Thanks for coming up again. I met Joe Frazier when I traveled to Philly to interview his son Marvis. Yeah, Marvelous, man. He was doing his thing, but sometimes you got to make sure you orchestrate your career the right way. Stay out of the way of guys like Mike Tyson when they 19. You know, that's a big bad choice right there. Even though I was a huge Ali fan, Joe Frazier was consummate gentleman. What a great guy. Yes, he was. And his family is great. I spoke with Joe Frazier, little man, younger Joe. And these guys, his family's all set. So it's good to see them doing well. And he's passed down a great lineage of understanding. You got to fight for your life. You got to fight for your career. You got to be something when you got an opportunity to. So special shouts, brother. Good to see you. And special shouts out to Swanee. And I saw your thing down there, man. So special shouts out once again. Another special shout out to Brandon the Cannon Adams, WBO champion of the world. That's how you got to do it, man. Persistence pays off. William, let me get you. TSOB is in the house. I'm seeing this fight in a new way. Always focused on Ali and how he moves. Yes, you can tell Joe Frazier loves the thrill of a fight. He's enjoying himself. Yeah, because he was able to finally get his hands on this dude who's been talking so much stuff and coming out after every bell, smashing his gloves and then breaking him down. Yeah, ruthless, the butterfly and the bull. Great, TSOB. What you were seeing with Joe Frazier is that was the moment he transcended. He had beat Jimmy Ellis and all of these guys that they put in front of him. And Ali said that he wasn't the real champ, meaning Joe Frazier. And Joe Frazier know he's the real champ because he knows when he hit guys the way they are hit. And what you see then is the ability for a man to supersede a human aspect. He's more than mortal. And he wanted the world to see him beating their favorite guy who probably encouraged him to box by winning and beating guys like Sonny Liston in the day. But to be able to dethrone the king is a big thing in boxing. And Otis, you know this as well. Being in the ring with guys you have watched is a big privilege. So you better deliver. That's what true champions do. When it's time for the bell, they know how to answer it. And that, my friend, is a serious fighter. Let me see what else I got here. So many of them pop. I don't know what's new, what's old. Yeah, Joe was just special, man. And just for you guys to see, an original Joe Frazier Ali ticket. Yeah, official. And that belt over there, right there on the joint. Having the ability to go back and look, and if you guys could see this entire studio, you'd see that there is a serious history in here. And I mean, it's a whole lot. And on those shelves over there are Ali's books. And with those books tell the story behind the man. And so I'm just glad that you guys took the time to hang out with us to do this because it's the 50th anniversary of the greatest fight, not just saying it for just, hype talk, but this is real. This was the greatest fight, sacrificial fight that two men. Fortunately, Ali had lost a step, not skill, but a step because he hadn't been fighting guys at this level. Joe Frazier had never fought a guy at that level. So the playing field was perfect for a trilogy that would go unmatched. With the output of punches, that fight wouldn't get superseded until Dwight Muhammad Cowie would fight a young man out of Atlanta, Georgia named Evander Holyfield. So you're talking about 15 years later. And that's a lot of fights that has happened. And when they brought the smoke. So let me know if you guys saw that fight. If you didn't, type in Cowie, Qawi versus Holyfield 1. And if you want to see a fight, 15-round fight, that's a fight that you want to see. Tell them about it,
One of my favorite, man. I watch it over and over and over. And,
yeah.
Going right back to the Ali Frazier type mold. A guy pressuring with the head movement, another guy with wonderful legs and punch output in Holyfield, and it just was ongoing action, for round after round, and even the second fight wasn't bad either, but that probably is my second favorite fight of all time. Dwight Braxton, Cowie Muhammad versus Holyfield 1.
Yeah. Well, I definitely put Corrales Castillo 1 in the conversation of fights. Yvonne Durrell, Archie Moore. I love to see Joe Louis come back and because that was when he fought Smelling the second time. That was for more and stuff. And Amelia makes a point. Joe Frazier's head movement wasn't pretty, but it worked. No, it really didn't work a lot of the time, but his thing was, I'm catching your stuff to hit you. It's not just about making you miss or making you pay. It's about damage. So the way he bent, it gave him momentum to throw hard. And when he blocked that cross arm block, and J. Marie Moore, Archie Moore's daughter, gave me clarity and specifics. Now, with my educated eye, I can see what's happening, but to hear it from the horse's mouth just condones and affirms what my assessment of it was. And the objective, of course, is to catch and stop anything coming forward. But you have to develop your forearms so there's very little space, and that over and over you won't feel that impact and break down, because anyone can try it. But you saw what happened to Callum Smith, his arms. If you don't have the proper dexterity, which you can get in Punch Pad for Pros in that Power Play download bundle, and that's what that's for. Because there are a lot of guys who think, "Oh, I'm gonna use this technique." Well, you try using a turtle shell and you ain't developed. You're gonna you'll stop after 3 rounds, because you can't just keep stopping a guy who's been hitting the heavy bag and sparring partners for 8 weeks. You're not gonna do it. Okay, so you got to understand these things, these products, and these things that we do. We do it so you will prevent the experiencing things the hard way. Because in boxing, when you experience things the hard way, you experience the hard way. All right. So Joe Frazier's style, that bob was not about just making you miss. That bob was about coming up with that transfer of weight from them big trunk legs and that big anchor he had on the mid part of his back, to be able to get all of that in there to damage you. If not that round, that you're so broken down over the course of the fight that you're unable to defend yourself. And when you get hit with one of those things clean and you're not a demigod, which those guys were, you're out of there. All of these guys that were not built from that material, 3 rounds, man, most. And that's with training camp. So good observation there, Amelia. Yeah, you done missed the fight, champ. But we will be playing the beautiful documentary on Monday. And just for those who are really, really big fans of the fight show, you're welcome. We'll be airing more often because it's just too much to keep up with. This weekend you got Adesanya fighting and fighting, moving up in weight in the UFC. You have Nunez, and I was just with our coach, Conan Silveira, down at American Top Team, and last month. And just to see all of these things and these conversations, we got Clarissa Shields defending her titles, fighting this weekend. WBC, special shouts out to the WBC. It's so much to cover, and I can't saturate the show, so we're just gonna have to do more shows. So, or someone be putting you in, buddy. It's going down. So, who you got this weekend, man? Anything spectacular you think gonna pop off? What about in the UFC? You think Adesanya is gonna continue to reign now, sliding up the light heavyweight?
Yeah, I feel like that everybody is pretty much on schedule to win. I don't see any upsets
You don't
happening.
you don't think that girl is really got a good chance to beat Amanda? Amanda, man, she just had a baby. People who haven't had a baby, they learn a lot real fast. Like, I can't do what I used to do. I've seen some things, man, and I'm worried about her performance not being really shadow box, no pun intended. Yeah, I got some stuff. You can see everything in here is packaged up, yeah, in a beautiful way. If you could see this entire room, you'd be like, "Oh, okay, you must have just pulled that out." We take care of some stuff, man. We have some great stuff, and it is priceless to me, because I love the history of boxing, and I'd like to make sure it's with me, and I'll pass it down to my sons. Yeah, movement guard. Yeah, man, it's all gravy. But I don't know if Adesanya have any problem. But I think Amanda Nunez is so much happening. But today I saw a picture. She looked really good. So, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows we will be dropping these shows consistently now, because I just want everybody to be up on things. And I'm not entertained by a lot of shows, uh, boxing shows, and I really ain't. Now that I'm doing shows all the time, I have an expectation of what I'm hearing. and you could probably relate to this, unless it's Andre Ward. It's very few people that keep my ear. I Paulie was cool. I just don't get a lot from people, and I guess my bar is so high when I do shows about educating. I want to hear something, other than who you want to fight next. I don't care. I don't care about that stuff, man. I'm in this world. I'm in this life. We about to re-up and pop into another state, and I'm gonna be in the midst of the fight game, 1,000% in the center of it. So you're gonna see me really, really, really on an entirely different level, playing different roles as I already am. But now I'm going into the belly of the beast. Don't sleep. I might slide out and be in Cali before you know it. Oh, if I get out west, boy, it's gonna be some good stuff popping off, man. Yo, the epicenter, man, of boxing, right here in this room, where we make sure that all of the guys who are in this game right now are equipped to make sure that the quality of our brand and game is on an entirely different level. So special shouts out to the world of MMA, UFC, Bellator. Well, we got a great contact and connection in our circle now, who's going to be, they are over like all of the top fighters. It's great. So we're going to have some good solid. I don't vent to really bring fighters up here. I want people to learn about the game. So I like to bring the key people here. So with that being said, man, everything's going to be on it. Just, this is where you're going to get the smoke, period, point blank. So Monday, we're going to jump off with this serious, awesome documentary that everyone needs to get their lesson in boxing on, history, and what was really going on at that time in the nation. It's almost like today. You know what I'm saying? It's weird, but it's great. So y'all stand in tune for that. Monday, you'll get the notification on the page and stuff, man. And until this, man, just enjoy this weekend of fights. Regardless, last week we had a great film study. We watched the fight party here, just like we doing here. But of course, we didn't stream it live, but we did it in our just in a stream yard where we are right now, and it was fun, man. Really cool to watch the fights, the breakdown. Watch Canelo. Just, I don't know what you thought about that fight, but wow! If anyone of you guys saw the Canelo fight, please let me know what you thought of that fight. But that was an absolute travesty. It was absolute travesty. That was unworthy of being in Miami, in that beautiful place, and being a main event. That was just like, you're kidding me. Now, 1 second of that fight, did it look like it was going to be a good fight? But Canelo's just beautiful. What you think about Canelo?
Respect to Canelo for not carrying the guy. A lot of times when there's a mismatch like that, a fighter will jab and move around and carry a guy for a couple rounds, maybe carry him into the 8th or 9th round. Whew. Canelo hit him with one shot, and he said, "This guy does not deserve to be here, and I'm going home."
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to knock him out with the first punch of the fight. I mean, he had Joe Frazier intentions on every single punch. Wasn't that ironic? That was crazy. And I almost forgot to talk about the fight, but it was just, wow. How do you just get in there and just don't be in front of him? Like, what is your corner telling you? Are you trying to go fisticuffs with this dude? He just brutally beat a 6'3" big frame UK Brit straight out of the gate. You got all of these different nationalities and countries and creeds in boxing, from Nigeria to, the African Americans to Western Indian to Caucasian to Mexican. I'm just all these different ethnicity and ethnic pools. And what I saw when I looked at this fight, it was just sad that that's all you brought for a dude. It's one thing if you're in the amateurs and you had never seen this dude fight, but that's all you brought to this dude that you already know that's what he was going to do. He didn't bring no new wrinkles. Fade up here, uppercut. You know what I'm saying? Fade punch. And teaching these punches is what we do, making sure these guys understand. And if just because you get like, it's in our peekaboo punch performance, Otis, that how to, fake punches and then make it end up somewhere else, which Canelo is a master of. He got that from guys like Eric Morales, who was just El Terrible, one of my favorite fighters of all time, and plus he has my name. But when El Terrible, man, you be thinking that thing coming, and boom, and you're just like, whoa, this dude is slick with it. So we got the Peekaboo Punch Performance program is all that. And it's called Punch Performance because if a guy's using the peekaboo style, you know that people are going to try their best defense. So if you fade punch them and they can't defend because they don't know where the punch going. So man, that one is a beast. So we always try to encourage guys, be a very solid foundation. Your foundation has to be solid. It has to be, you have to have the boxing creed in your DNA fiber with your style, with your skill set. Bend your knees, feet at 12 and 2. Have your hands up, elbows tucked, chin down, and try to just do that and make it as natural as you can over time because you're going to make mistakes. There's no such thing as a perfect boxer. You've been boxing 2 weeks at 20 years. All boxers make mistakes. There's nobody born to be perfect like that. All right. But those are the things that you got to keep in mind. And it minimizes yourself, minimizes your mistakes and what can happen to you. So just remember that. And I always advise those people when they go up there and they get those downloads, we try to make sure we send an email to say you might want to get somewhere where you can get cultivated in the school of boxing, or make sure that you just are visible, because then you got a fraternity of good coaches that really help keep you online, because you're not learning that stuff because you're seeing it. It takes a lot to develop that muscle memory. So, and you learned on the job. You know how tough it is, but some people are able to do it. Brandon, he's another one. He loves taking them skills, and you can see a lot of everybody with Brandon fight. But last night, boy, I was about to get at him with his back against the rope. So don't be that guy. Yeah. It made it tougher than it should have been, because the first round he was really smooth. I was like, oh, he punished this dude. This dude undefeated. And then in the second, third, fourth round, I was like, oh, where did that stuff go? Start fighting off the back of the rope. So these are the principles that we stay honest on. And our coaches that are learning how to really coach and work corners. And last week, Otis, what I talked about on that stream, that feed, is all of the other things that are not being talked about, definitely through telecasts. And I'll give you guys the link if you want to see. If any of you want to see that replay, it's a link. So we had it recorded. So let us know, and make sure you're subscribed, and we'll shoot it to you. It's about 3 hours long. So you definitely didn't learn a lot during the Canelo fight. It's the other couple of fights that we had that I broke down, and you'll learn a lot from. And especially when you're aspiring to be around corners and training camps, I gave them some pearls, man, some stuff that you ain't gonna never hear on TV. And that's kind of what we do. So continue to follow us at Master Boxing across the board. Check into the School of Boxing if you guys are really serious about that life, and because you're gonna run into them days where you're gonna not have anyone to ask questions, and that's what you need around you, some good solid people. You watching the fights this weekend, man? You spending that pay-per-view money?
No, I'm not into UFC quite.
No, I'm talking about, you got to pay for Clarissa Shields too.
Oh no, well, I'm gonna go over some people's house and watch Carissa Shields and stuff like that. I always like Carissa because her development is coming up. She also is learning that MMA game at an alarming rate, but it shows you how hungry she is.
Yeah, she want to stay active, and she believes in herself, and I can't hate that, man. But that's it, man. That's all we got. Otis, I'd love to have you in on Monday when we get it popping, man. Because what I'm gonna do is really show that documentary. It's gonna shake some people up. Like, you really didn't understand what was going on and what Ali was up against, not just in the ring but outside the ring, and it's just a beautiful time. So we're gonna get it popping, and like I said, just keep your eyes open. Make sure you like the page so you'll get the notification when we go, because we're gonna be going. The fight show is about to go, and man, when we get down South Florida, whew, it's going down. We are going to be lighting it up. So, Otis, man, if I fly you out east, would you come for a
Oh
couple of
yeah,
weeks?
definitely, definitely.
You would.
I got, that's where all my family is anyway. So
All
definitely.
right, all right. I just wanted to put that out there because definitely, I love what you do. I love where you come from, and I love your grind. And you're a brother of mine for sure. So, Milia, Ali Frazier, thank you guys for taking the time to chop it up with us, man. I hope you enjoyed this fight show. Make sure you invite your friends on as we're getting ready to take it up another notch. Once again, until next time, be blessed at Godspeed. Otis, I'll wrap with you, brother. Enjoy the fights
All
this
right.
weekend, and make sure you remember to keep those knees bent and tuck your chin. So long. Peace.
Brandon Adams.
No doubt, baby.